Montana sky burned gold and amber that September evening in 1978. Sarah Mitchell stood in the doorway of her father's modest farmhouse, her small suitcase at her feet, watching the dust settle behind the truck that had just pulled into the yard. She was 18 years old. Just 18. And her life was about to change in ways she couldn't yet imagine. Her father, Thomas, placed a weathered hand on her shoulder. "Sarah," he said softly, "I know this isn't what you dreamed of. But James Brennan is a good man. A kind man. He needs help with those children and, well, we need to know you'll be taken care of." Sarah nodded slowly. She understood. Her father had been injured in a farming accident 6 months ago. Medical bills had piled up like autumn leaves. This arrangement, it would help everyone. That's what people did back then. They helped each other survive. The truck door opened. James Brennan stepped out into the fading light. He was 42 with silver threading through his dark hair and lines around his eyes that spoke of hard work and harder losses. His wife Eleanor had passed 2 years earlier, leaving him alone to raise 3 children on a sprawling cattle ranch. Behind him, 3 small faces peered through the truck windows, curious, uncertain. James removed his hat as he approached, holding it respectfully in his calloused hands. "Miss Mitchell," he said, his voice gentle, "thank you for agreeing to this. I want you to know, I don't expect anything beyond help with the house and the children. You'll have your own room, your own space. I'll respect that. Always." Sarah looked into his eyes and saw something that eased the tight knot in her chest. She saw decency, honor, kindness. "Thank you, Mr. Brennan," she replied quietly. "James," he corrected with a small smile. "Just James." The ranch house was larger than Sarah expected, but it wore its loneliness like a threadbare coat. Dust gathered in corners. Dishes sat unwashed in the sink. Children's toys lay scattered across the floors like abandoned hopes. The children were watching her from the hallway. 7-year-old Michael with his father's dark eyes, 5-year-old Emma clutching a stuffed rabbit, and little 3-year-old Daniel hiding halfway behind his sister. Sarah knelt down slowly, making herself small and unthreatening. "Hello," she said warmly. "I'm Sarah. I hear you like to help in the kitchen sometimes. Maybe tomorrow you could show me where everything is. I bet you know this house better than anyone." Emma took a tentative step forward. "Mama used to make pancakes on Saturday mornings," she whispered. "Then that's exactly what we'll do," Sarah promised. "If your papa says it's all right." James stood in the doorway, watching this young woman speak so gently to his children, and he felt something he hadn't felt in 2 long years. Hope. The first weeks were an adjustment for everyone. Sarah woke before dawn, learning the rhythms of ranch life. She cooked simple, hearty meals. She mended torn jeans and washed muddy boots. She braided Emma's hair and read stories to Daniel before bed. And slowly, carefully, she and James built something neither had expected. Friendship. They'd talk in the evenings after the children were asleep, sitting on the porch while the stars emerged one by one. James told her about Eleanor, about their dreams for the ranch. Sarah shared her own hopes, the book she loved, the teacher she'd once wanted to become. "You still could," James said one night. "Teach, I mean. There's a school in town, once the children are older." "Maybe," Sarah said softly, surprised he'd remembered. 3 months passed, then 6. Sarah watched Michael's confidence grow as he helped his father with the cattle. She saw Emma's smile return, bright and genuine. Little Daniel started calling her Miss Sarah and would reach for her hand when they walked. And James treated her with a respect and gentleness that Sarah had never known men were capable of. He asked her opinions, listened when she spoke, noticed when she was tired and insisted she rest. One winter evening, Michael fell ill with a high fever. Sarah sat up with him all night, placing cool cloths on his forehead, singing soft lullabies she remembered from her own childhood. James found them at dawn, both asleep in the rocking chair. Michael curled against Sarah's chest. Something shifted in his heart at that moment. Something profound and true. Spring arrived like a promise fulfilled. The meadows filled with wildflowers. The children ran laughing through the fields. And one evening, as Sarah stood at the kitchen window watching the sunset paint the mountains purple and gold, James came to stand beside her. Sarah, he began, his voice thick with emotion. These past months, you've brought life back to this house, back to my children, back to me. He paused, choosing his words carefully. I know this started as an arrangement, a practical solution, but somewhere along the way, he turned to face her, his eyes honest and open. I've come to care for you deeply, not as hired help, not as an obligation, but as a woman I admire and respect. A woman he took a breath, a woman I've fallen in love with. Sarah felt tears gather in her eyes. James, I'm not asking for an answer now, he continued gently. I know I'm older. I know this isn't what you planned for your life. But if you could ever see your way to making this real, to becoming my wife, not just in name but in heart, I would spend every day trying to be worthy of that gift. Sarah reached for his hand. James, I came here afraid, uncertain, feeling like I was giving up my dreams. She smiled through her tears, but what I found was something I didn't even know to dream of. A good man, beautiful children, a home filled with love. She squeezed his fingers. You don't need to try to be worthy. You already are. They were married that June in a simple ceremony under the cottonwood trees behind the house. Emma served as flower girl, scattering petals with serious concentration. Michael stood proud beside his father. Daniel clutched Sarah's skirt, unwilling to let her go even for a moment. Sarah's father gave her away with tears in his eyes, whispering, I knew. From that first evening, I knew James would treasure you. And he did. They built a life together filled with ordinary miracles, breakfast table laughter, homework sessions, Saturday pancakes, Sunday rides across the ranch. Sarah eventually did become a teacher, tutoring children from neighboring ranches around their kitchen table. James expanded the ranch with Sarah as his partner in every decision. 3 more children joined their family over the years. The house that had been so lonely filled with noise and love and life. Years later, when people asked Sarah about her marriage, about how it began, she would smile in that knowing way that comes with age and wisdom. Life rarely goes according to plan, she'd say. But sometimes, when we open our hearts to unexpected paths, we find exactly what we needed all along. She'd look at James, still handsome even with gray in his beard, and she'd remember that frightened, 18-year-old girl with a suitcase, and she'd remember the widowed rancher who showed her that true love isn't found in grand gestures or fairy tale beginnings. It's found in daily kindness, in patience and respect, in 2 people choosing every day to build something beautiful together. What happened shocked everyone. Sarah would finish with a gentle laugh. Because we fell in love, real love, the kind that grows slowly and roots deep, the kind that lasts. And looking at their grown children, their grandchildren playing in those same fields where Emma and Michael once ran, everyone could see she was right. Sometimes the most unexpected beginnings lead to the most extraordinary lives.